So, as I have been on my journey of healing, and I've been doing the best that I can to really meditate. When I say that, I don't mean just literally sitting down in meditation, but what I mean is also just like sitting with my thoughts, sitting with my emotions and everything, introspecting, looking at myself. I've really been doing the best that I can to figure out how I can become better as a person, right? Something that I heard, I believe it was Jim Rohn talk about, the master investor, right? And just all around really cool person. Um, he was talking on this subject of just becoming as a person, right? It's really less a matter of what it is you achieve, what it is you acquire, and more so a matter of through that process who you become, right? And that's the thing too. The acquisition, the achievements, they're like byproducts of the process of becoming, right? And so I look at that and it's like, okay, well, I can always have better as a person. What's required is becoming better as a person. And that's really the thing that attracts, right? To attract better, I need to become better and more attractive, right? So I'm really just doing the best that I can to sit with myself to become better. And really one of those ways is to have the absolute highest ideal possible for myself in my mind and bringing that into every situation and figuring out how it is that I need to be as a person in every situation, right? Now, this is where things get really, I suppose, different, right? You gotta be different to attract different, right? So, I have a tendency to just observe the heck out of, like, everyone around me, right? I do. I don't know if it's my spidey sense. I don't know if it's, the empathic tendencies in me. I don't know. But, maybe that's what it is, and maybe I do now. But there's something that I've noticed. I've noticed this in my own experiences of life as well as observing other people, right? I would argue that one of the most important criteria or aspects of criteria for deep and meaningful relationships is intimacy, right? I see, and I've seen this in my own life, and I've also contributed to it as well, which is why the whole matter of becoming better as a person is very important to me. But I see this, what I would argue to be far too often, and I think that it's quite honestly destroying relationships. I mean, in any time that I've experienced it myself with people, I'm like, yeah, no, that's not sustainable. It's not gonna work. It's not fun. It's not good. It's not a matter of good or bad. Actually, I'll do the best that I can to stay away from splitting binary, all or nothing, black and white. I'm not a fan of that. But it's interesting because what it is that I'm about to talk about, I would argue, has a lot to do with black and white thinking, all or nothing, binary, good or bad, right? I would argue that in order to reach a decent level of intimacy in any relationship, it doesn't matter if it's platonic or romantic. It doesn't matter if it's just friends or if it's, partners and everything. There's got to be a sense of openness. There's got to be a sense of course, boundaries. Boundaries are important. A lot of people, and I've been here before, a lot of people just kind of go to either permeable boundaries or boundarylessness to achieve what they think, or they do that because they think it's going to help them achieve intimacy. Which is ironic because that in and of itself usually deteriorates relationships faster than anything. In my experiences, that is. So, This is what it is that I think is an ineffective way to approach relationships that I've observed many people doing. It's funny because I'm trying to avoid the whole matter of saying, like, majority. Because, one, I don't know if that's true, and two, I kind of feel like that's black and white thinking. So let's get into it. Whenever someone's doing something, right, and the other person, whether it's a friend or whether it's a partner, the other person says, stop, or you need to stop doing that, right? That goes that far. Right there. What I think is missing, what I've observed is missing, and this is one of the most important things that I've learned in my own experiences of life and in therapy, is if you tell someone to stop doing something, there's usually an element of shame. Like, and it usually depends on the energy that is presented. But from what I've experienced most often, the energy is shame. Shame really shuts a person down. It doesn't make them feel good, right? With that, when somebody is told to stop doing something, I mean, of course, it might just genuinely frustrate, irritate, or annoy the other person. But you could approach things in a different way. And of course, it does depend on how much patience you have. And it also does depend on how well you want to know the person that you're dealing with. Now, instead of asking the person or telling the person to stop, a different approach could be this. And this is what I've learned, right? There is always a reason for why everyone does every single thing that they do. No matter how absurdly unconscious or subconscious it is, there is always a reason. It's really cool to turn that stop, or that stop doing that, into a why. Why do you do that? The interesting thing here is that one of them, I would argue, is much more like shame-based and just kind of like limiting. Again, right up to here and that's it. When you ask a person why they do something, right, you take that from here and it just keeps going up. Of course, there's a ceiling here. I'd extend my hand further. I believe that it's ineffective, especially for the sake of trying to create intimacy in relationships, whether platonic or romantic. I believe that it is ineffective to tell someone to stop doing something. I mean, and it can just be a stop doing things. Maybe you have figured out why it is that they do it and they keep doing it and they really do need to stop. That may be a different story. However, a lot of people, based on what I've experienced, just have absolutely zero patience for their friend or their partner, right? They're not interested in asking why, right? But if you ask why, it is an invitation for intimacy, to get to know a person better, you know? Like, if I find out why somebody does something, I get to know them better. That creates more intimacy. When a person is told to stop doing something, especially in a very serious and negative tone, it usually shuts them down and creates feelings of shame within them. Again, everyone does whatever it is that they does for a reason. It's not like people are just doing things for no reason. Everything has a reason, whether it's big or small. So this is something that I have really observed in myself as well as in other people. And in those moments, I kind of feel like an architect of social structure. It's kind of cool, you know? Just like picking at things and be like, well, if instead of saying stop, you ask, why? Why do you do that? If there's something that I would argue that a majority of people, I'll try to not say majority, many people are hungry for. It's real connection. And real connection comes from feeling safe with somebody, right? And if you want to feel safe with somebody, you've got to feel like you can actually talk to them. A lot of people are really good at shutting other people down and making them feel ashamed of themselves and to feel guilty and stuff. I don't think that it's that effective to tell a person to stop doing something, especially if intimacy is what you're after. I don't think it's effective. I think it's the difference between going 100 yards and going 100 miles, between that and asking, why? Why do you do that? Allow me to get to know you better. What is the reason? You're doing it for a reason. What is the reason? Maybe you're repeating a childhood pattern. I can get to know you better. It's an opportunity to get to know the person better, which is what I would argue to be more effective. Yeah, I think it's very ineffective. Again, not good or bad. It's a matter of what a person is trying to create or achieve. But I think that it's ineffective and very limiting to just tell a person to stop doing something. With that energy, right? That stop it. You need to stop. Hey, why do you do that? I'm curious. What is it?